At the very moment of the terrorist attack, the negotiating delegation was discussing its response to this proposal, a blatant and shameless targeting of the valued role of the Qatari mediator. The bombardment struck the home of the head of the negotiating delegation. The attempted assassination of the movement's negotiating delegation in the Qatari capital, Doha, came just one day after the meeting with the Qatari Prime Minister, who had delivered to the leadership the new proposal. At the very moment of the terrorist attack, the negotiating delegation was discussing its response to this proposal, a blatant and shameless targeting of the valued role of the Qatari mediator. The bombardment struck the home of the head of the negotiating delegation. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. My article about the Zionist and Hamas aggression against the state of Qatar al-Hayya and the targeting of a member of the rebellious movement. Do not think that those who were killed in the cause of God are dead, but alive in the presence of their Lord. Our struggling Palestinian people, our Arab and Islamic nation, the freest of the world and the beloved of Palestine, are in a historic moment in which our proud Palestinian people and their steadfast resistance, the battles of steadfastness, sacrifice and steadfastness in the face of the Zionist and Hamas aggression, with all the meanings of pride, and with more faith and surrender and insistence on moving forward in the path of steadfastness and resistance in defense of our people, our land, and our sanctities. We call on the Hamas Islamic Resistance Movement, a group of our heroes, the Mayameen, who rose up after the Zionist and Hamas aggression against the state of Qatar al-Hayya. They are the Martyrs Jihad Dabad and Abu Bilal, the Martyrs Hamam al-Hayya and Abu Yahya, the Martyrs Abdullah Abdul Wahid and Abu Khalil, the Martyrs Mumin Hassuna and Abu Omar, the Martyrs Ahmad Abdul Malik and Abu Malik, the Martyrs of Qatar and Palestine, the representative of Al-Arif, Badr, Saad Muhammad, and Al-Humaydi al-Dasari. This pure blood that was shed on the land of Qatar al-Hayya clearly confirms that the battle against the Zionist entity is not the battle of Gaza, Hamas, or Palestine. It is the battle of the Ummah and its prisoners. We are facing a full-fledged crime. It does not only target the sovereignty of an Arab state, but it also targets all that Qatar represents, such as Arabs, Islam, and half of the oppressed. We are in the movement of resistance, called Hamas, and we are in front of the government of the war criminal Netanyahu and his criminal gang, who broke all international laws and international conventions. In light of this heinous crime, which targets the sovereignty of the state of Qatar al-Hayya and the leadership of our negotiating movement, we will confirm the following. First, the crime committed by the Zionist entity in the capital of Qatar, Doha, is not a violent attack on the sovereignty, security, and stability of the state of Qatar. It is a barbaric attack and a declaration of war open to all our Arab and Islamic countries, and a clear threat to the security and stability of a region in its captivity. This behavior confirms that the Zionist entity poses a threat to the regional and international security of Qatar, and that the leadership of the world should clearly choose between the law of the jungle imposed by Israel for its crimes and the international and human law that condemns these actions and obliges its perpetrators to be held accountable. This requires a strong Arab, Islamic, and international movement that is effective to isolate this criminal Zionist entity and punish it, and confront its projects and plans. Second, the failed attempt of the Zionist entity to assassinate the leader of the movement, the negotiator in Doha, and the continuous threat to execute assassinations of the leadership of the movement abroad reflects its search for fictitious images. After failing to achieve its aggressive goals and plans in the Gaza Strip for 23 months, where this entity carries out all acts of murder, destruction, starvation, and mass extermination. Third, the blood of the leadership of the movement is not more precious than the blood of the children and women of Gaza, Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Palestine. The crimes of the Zionist occupation targeting the leadership of the movement in any place will not succeed in breaking its will and its steadfastness, and will not succeed in influencing the positions of the movement and its decisions and its way of resistance. History has proven that it did not increase it, but strength, firmness, and stability. There is no force on earth that prevents our people, the Palestinian father, whose legitimate right is to defend his land and sanctities. Fourth, the government of the fascist occupation, its aggression against the nearly 1 million people besieged in the city of Gaza. Michael, the threat of eviction on the site of the bombing and the mass destruction, and the horrific massacres represents the crime of a complete war of pillars and a brutal revenge from our steadfast people who are attached to their land. And we salute with pride our people in the city of Gaza, who are standing up for the most wonderful pillars of legitimate steadfastness, and confirm their firm refusal to evict and leave their city and their firm attachment to their right to life and freedom on their land. Fifth, there has been an attempt to assassinate the spokesman of the negotiating movement in the capital of the Qatari state, Doha, only one day after the meeting of the Qatari Prime Minister, who handed over to the brothers in the leadership of the new proposal. And at the moment of the terrorist attack, the negotiating delegation was discussing the response to this proposal, with a clear aim to the role of the Qatari intermediary, and the bombing on the house of the negotiating delegation, where his family was, and his wife was injured, as well as his son's wife, the martyr Hammam, and his grandchildren. Sixth, this crime was not only an attempt to assassinate the delegation, but a bombing and assassination of the negotiating path and the purposeful targeting of the role of the intermediary in Qatar and Egypt, and a clear confirmation of Netanyahu and his criminal gang on their refusal to communicate to any agreement and their insistence on the failure of all efforts both regional and international, to stop the extermination and starvation and the end of the war against our people in Gaza. This proves again that Netanyahu and his extremist government are solely responsible for the failure and disruption of all previous negotiation platforms. Seventh, we confirm that the U.S. administration is a full partner in this crime with political and moral responsibility by providing cover and continuous support for the aggression, occupation, and continuous crimes against our people. Eighth, we confirm that this heinous crime and other Zionist crimes will not succeed in changing our firm position and our clear demand to stop the aggression against our people and the complete withdrawal of the occupation army from the Gaza Strip and the real exchange of prisoners, and to save our people from the destruction of our buildings. Ninth, we show our absolute solidarity with the brotherly state of Qatar as a prince, a government, and a people. We appreciate all the solidarity with Qatar and the refusal of the Zionist aggression. And we call for more practical actions to counter the Zionist aggression that threatens the security and stability of our Arab and Islamic countries. 10th, we call on the leaders of the Arab and Islamic countries to stand up against this Zionist aggression and to use all the elements of power, pressure tools, political, diplomatic, economic, and legal influence to defend Netanyahu and his corrupt government against their crimes, and to work seriously to stop the aggression and the war of extermination, displacement, and starvation of our people in the Gaza Strip. 11th, we appreciate all the official and popular positions that express their solidarity with the brotherly state of Qatar and with our people and our movement and resistance, and we express our pride in it, and we affirm that we will remain loyal to our national cause and the blood of our people and our martyrs and our prisoners and our wounded. And we will continue the way of resistance with all stability and persistence until the end of the aggression and the liberation of the land and the sanctity of Allah and the mercy and glory and being with our brave martyrs and the imminent cure of the wounded and the prisoners and the nearest freedom of the prisoners and detainees in our prisons of Zionist occupation. And it is a struggle, victory, or martyrdom of the Islamic resistance of Hamas.